Welcome to the most boring biology video you've ever needed to fall asleep to. This is your narrator, someone who deeply cares about your rest and how your brain secretly turns you into a genius, even if you still forget where you left your socks. Before you sleep, like the video for the sake of sleeping and the boring biology. So, fluff your pillow, settle into your sheets, and let's dive into the swampy, noodle-like realm of your brain, the soggy sponge that somehow runs your entire life and possibly turns you into a genius while you snore. Let's start at the beginning. The brain. It's about 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms of pinkish-gray tofu that lives rent-free in your skull. It's 75% water, yet it does calculus, writes poetry, and sometimes forgets birthdays. Your brain has three major parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Think of it like a sandwich. The cerebrum is the bread, the top layer that does all the flashy thinking. The cerebellum is the lettuce that helps with movement and coordination. And the brainstem, that's the meat that keeps you breathing, blinking, and existing. You were born with about 100 billion neurons. That's billion with a B, as in more than the number of awkward moments you've experienced. Now, these neurons talk to each other using chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Imagine if your brain was a group chat with 100 billion participants. It's noisy, complicated, and somebody always sends a meme at 3 a.m. Even now, as you're lying in bed, those 100 billion neurons are quietly buzzing, exchanging whispers of electric impulses. It's like a silent disco in your skull. Everyone has headphones on, nodding to different beats. You don't hear it, but it's happening. The cerebrum, your largest brain part, has two hemispheres. Left for logic, right for creativity, or so people say. The truth? Both hemispheres do a lot of sharing. Your right hemisphere might handle music, but it still texts the left side for grammar help. Neurons are like tiny electrical wires, but unlike normal wires, they don't just pass electricity. They also shoot out little chemical messages. Each neuron has a body, little tree-like branches called dendrites, and a long tail called an axon. When one neuron wants to talk to another, it sends a message down the axon, like a bored teenager sliding a note across the desk. At the end of the axon is the synapse, the microscopic space between neurons. The message jumps the gap via neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, or acetylcholine. The average neuron can make up to 10,000 connections. That's like each person in a city knowing 10,000 other people by name and talking to them constantly. Exhausting, but efficient. And these neurons? They work in networks. Learning to play guitar? Neurons in your motor cortex, auditory cortex, and visual cortex all become besties, passing notes and high fives as you mess up your first chord. This is how habits are formed. Practice once, weak connection. Practice again, stronger. Over time, your brain becomes more efficient, like learning a shortcut on the way home. Your brain literally saves energy the more you repeat something. Here's a not-so-secret secret. Your brain is kind of lazy. It's a champion at finding shortcuts. These shortcuts are called heuristics. It's how you make quick decisions without thinking too hard, like knowing not to lick a frozen pole in winter without running an experiment. Sometimes these shortcuts help, other times not so much. Ever forgotten someone's name 5 seconds after meeting them? That's your brain deciding the name wasn't urgent enough to store. Rude. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical reasoning part, loves to delegate. It hands off tasks to your basal ganglia, which manages habits. That's why you can drive home on autopilot and not remember the trip. Scary? A little. Efficient? Very. Ironically, while you're trying to fall asleep listening to this, I should tell you, sleep is when your brain works overtime, like a night shift worker who reorganizes your mental filing cabinet. During deep sleep, your brain consolidates memories. That's a sciencey way of saying it takes the stuff you learned during the day, organizes it, and decides what to keep. Your dreams? That's your brain having a weird filing party. Dreams might seem random, but they're not. They're your brain's way of connecting things that didn't have time to connect during the day. That's why you sometimes dream about your dentist riding a llama through your school. It means something, probably. Sleep comes in cycles: light sleep, deep sleep, REM, rapid eye movement. Each cycle is about 90 minutes. You go through 4 to 6 cycles per night. During REM, your brain is almost as active as when you're awake, which explains those vivid dreams where you're fighting robot chickens with a baguette. Let's take a slow stroll through the brain's neighborhoods. You have 4 main lobes. Frontal lobe. This is the boss. It plans, decides, speaks, and keeps you from blurting out embarrassing things. Well, sometimes. It's also where your personality lives. If your brain had a forehead tattoo, this is where it'd be. Parietal lobe. This part handles sensation, touch, temperature, pain. Ever stubbed your toe and seen stars? That's your parietal lobe waking up and screaming. Temporal lobe. Memory and hearing central. It stores that song stuck in your head for 3 days. Also responsible for recognizing faces. Unless you forget people's names like a pro, then maybe blame it. Occipital lobe. All about vision. Not just seeing, but processing what you see. Like when you see your own reflection and think, wow, I look like I haven't slept since 2019. There are also some sneaky side regions like the limbic system, the emotional drama queen of your brain. It includes the amygdala, which decides when to freak out. Spider equals panic. And the hippocampus, which helps form memories. Let's talk about the juicy stuff. The brain chemicals that make you feel, think, and yes, even become smarter. Dopamine, the feel-good chemical. It's released when you accomplish something, eat something tasty, or get a nice comment online. But it also motivates learning. Your brain literally gets high on success. Serotonin, mood stabilizer. It keeps you calm, grounded, and able to handle stressful group projects without screaming. Acetylcholine, big deal for memory and learning. It's like the brain's study buddy. Glutamate and GABA. Think of these as the brain's gas and brakes. Glutamate excites neurons. GABA calms them down. A balance of both is essential to think clearly and not feel like you're mentally running into a wall. And there's oxytocin, the cuddle hormone. It's all about trust and bonding. It's what helps you feel close to others, or tear up watching a dog reunite with its owner after a long deployment. Here's the kicker. Your genius brain can be wrong. Like a lot, memory is unreliable. Your brain often fills in gaps with made-up details. It's like an overconfident storyteller who thinks they remember everything perfectly. Optical illusions fool it. Ever seen one of those spinning dancer images that changes direction? That's your brain guessing, not knowing. Biases. Your brain loves shortcuts, which lead to quick judgments and flawed decisions. Thanks, brain. But here's the twist. The fact that your brain can reflect, correct itself, and grow is what actually makes you a genius. Not because you never mess up, but because your brain can learn from the mess-ups. Every mistake is a chance to rewire. Every challenge builds new circuits. So even as you drift into dreamland, your mind is quietly stretching its muscles. Babies. Little bald creatures with zero job experience and a powerful brain. Within the first few years of life, a child's brain forms over 1 million new connections per second. Yes, every second. Your brain in childhood is like a sponge, except way cooler and slightly stickier. It absorbs sounds, sights, emotions, languages, and that one time you fell off the slide and decided slides were evil. This is called critical periods, windows in early life where the brain is especially plastic, ready to learn. Learn a second language as a kid? Easy. Try it as an adult. Now you're mixing Spanish with cereal brands. The genius part is this: the more your brain gets stimulated early on, with reading, play, social interactions, the richer your brain's network. It's not about... You might think forgetting things makes you less smart. But here's the twist. Forgetting is part of genius. Your brain is constantly filtering. Every day, you're exposed to gigabytes of sensory data, sights, sounds, smells, your neighbor sneezing at 4:23 a.m. If your brain remembered everything, it'd melt into an anxious soup. The hippocampus, your brain's memory librarian, decides what to keep and what to toss. Think of it like a nightclub bouncer. If a memory isn't interesting, emotionally charged, or repeated enough, it doesn't make the VIP list. This ability to forget helps you focus on what matters. Genius isn't just collecting info, it's knowing what to ignore. Ever tapped your foot without realizing? Or bobbed your head to music in an elevator? That's your brain's rhythm center saying, "Hey, I'm alive." The brain loves rhythm. The cerebellum and auditory cortex work together like a beat-producing duo. Patterns in music, walking, even speech give your brain a sense of order. That's why lullabies knock babies out like tiny drunks. Fun fact, rhythmic activities like dancing or drumming actually boost neuroplasticity. Moving to a beat engages motor skills, timing, memory, and coordination all at once. Even slow, boring rhythms, like the one in my voice, help induce relaxation. It tells your brain, no danger here, you can shut down for a bit. You have an inner voice. No, not the dramatic one, the one that says things like, "Where did I put my keys?" Or, "Don't say something weird." That voice comes from your brain's default mode network, the same system active when you're not focused on the outside world. This voice helps you reflect, plan, remember, and predict. It's your internal narrator. When you read silently, you hear it. When you practice what you're going to say in the mirror, that's it too. Here's the fun part. The smarter your brain gets, the more refined that voice becomes. But also, sometimes it talks too much. Overthinking, that's your narrator on caffeine. To be a genius, you don't have to shut it off. Just know when to let it ramble and when to hit pause. Being bored feels like your brain is buffering, but actually, boredom is when your brain is searching. It's looking for stimulation, patterns, or new thoughts. Studies show that after boredom, people come up with more creative ideas. Why? Because boredom frees the mind from external distractions. It lets your thoughts wander, connect dots, and build something new. In fact, Einstein often stared out the window for hours looking bored. That wasn't wasted time, it was mental composting. Boredom gives your ideas time to decompose and grow into something bigger. So next time you feel bored, just smile and say, "Aha, brain seeds are being planted." Then go stare at a wall for a while. Let's take a moment and enjoy the silence. Because silence, as boring as it sounds, is where your brain finds rest, repair, and even inspiration. When your environment is quiet, your brain doesn't shut off, it turns inward. Studies have shown that silence stimulates the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, the memory zone. That's right, sitting in silence might literally be making you smarter. Monks, writers, and geniuses have long embraced silence, not because they hate noise, but because silence creates space for thought. It's the blank canvas where your neurons start sketching. So next time you're doing absolutely nothing in a quiet room, just remember, your brain is cleaning up, reorganizing, and possibly preparing your next brilliant idea. Your brain is a pattern machine. It looks for meaning in clouds, faces in toast, or signs from the universe, because it's wired to spot patterns, even when there are none. This skill helps with logic, prediction, language, and memory, but sometimes it gets a little too excited. That's why we see faces on the front of cars, or think two unrelated events are somehow connected. This pattern obsession is also why humans invented music, math, and storytelling. We crave rhythm, symmetry, and closure. Your brain is trying to organize chaos into a nice, tidy narrative. Geniuses often recognize useful patterns the rest of us overlook. That's not magic. That's a brain that's practiced at zooming in and zooming out and spotting the shapes in the noise. Did you know your brain has weather? Well, not rain and lightning, but electrical patterns called brain waves. These are little rhythms your brain pulses through, depending on what you're doing. Delta waves, deep sleep, slow, peaceful, like a river at midnight. Theta waves, drowsy, meditative, that floaty pre-nap vibe. Alpha waves, relaxed but alert, think quiet focus or daydreaming. Beta waves, awake and active, problem solving, talking, stressing out. Gamma waves, high-level learning and memory, rare but powerful. Your genius emerges when the waves align, like a symphony, sometimes soft and sleepy, other times fast and loud. But all of them work together to keep your mind in harmony. Ever laughed in a serious situation? Maybe a funeral, a lecture, or a dentist's office. Your brain doesn't hate you, it's just overloaded. Laughter can be a release valve when your brain gets too much tension or too much absurdity. Most of your brain's genius work happens without your permission. You breathe, blink, digest, and regulate temperature without thinking. Even decision-making often happens before you consciously decide. Experiments show your brain prepares to make a choice seconds before you feel like you've chosen. It's weird, but also kind of amazing. Your conscious mind, the part you hear in your head, is just one part of a giant complex orchestra. Most of it plays on autopilot. So when you forget something and suddenly remember it in the shower, that's your subconscious doing overtime. Genius doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers when you're not paying attention. Repetition might feel boring, like brushing your teeth or hearing the same ad on a podcast 10 times. But to your brain, it's gold. Every time you repeat something, a phrase, a dance move, a guitar chord, your neurons strengthen their connections. It's like building a dirt path into a paved road. This is called long-term potentiation. The more frequently a neuron fires in connection with another, the more easily it will fire again next time. That's how skills become second nature. So yes, practice really does make perfect, or at least makes permanent. Whether it's multiplication tables or your grandma's banana bread recipe, repetition is your brain's favorite training tool. Ever tried to study for hours and felt like your brain turned to mashed potatoes? That's not laziness. That's cognitive fatigue. Your brain uses glucose and oxygen like any muscle. Long periods of focus deplete those resources, making your thoughts sluggish, your memory fuzzy, and your mood a little grumpy. Geniuses aren't immune to this. In fact, many take regular breaks, walks, naps, snacks to let their brains cool down and reboot. So, next time you're tired, don't push harder. Take a moment, breathe. Your genius will thank you for the maintenance break. People think memory is like a file cabinet. You store stuff, then pull it out when needed. But your brain isn't a cabinet. It's a creative storyteller with bad handwriting. Memories are reconstructions, not recordings. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it, sometimes adding or losing details. That's why eyewitness accounts differ, or why your childhood memories feel dreamlike. Your brain stores impressions, not perfect snapshots. Still, this flexibility has a purpose. It allows you to adapt, update, and reframe memories with new context. It's like editing a journal entry every time you read it. Sometimes a genius is just someone who rewrites wisely. Let's admit it, your brain is a bit of a prankster. It loves shortcuts, but sometimes those shortcuts lead to hilarious mistakes. Take optical illusions. They reveal how your brain guesses what you're seeing, not always correctly. Your visual cortex fills in blanks, straightens crooked lines, or turns shadows into shapes that aren't there. Or how about the Stroop effect? When you try to say the color of a word, not the word itself, like blue written in red ink, your brain gets tripped up by conflicting information. These glitches aren't flaws, they're features of an efficient system. Your brain does its best to make sense of limited info, and sometimes gets creative along the way. When you listen to music, your entire brain throws a dance party. Seriously, music activates more areas than almost any other activity. Your auditory cortex processes sound. Your motor cortex taps the rhythm. Your memory retrieves lyrics. Your emotions kick in. Even your visual cortex might join if you picture a scene. And if you play music, even more regions light up. Coordination, planning, timing, feedback, all working in sync. This might be why music boosts learning, calms anxiety, and helps people with memory disorders. Music is the brain's universal language and maybe its favorite toy. Naps aren't just for toddlers and cats. They're science-approved brain fuel. Even a quick 20-minute nap can boost alertness, memory, and creativity. During a nap, your brain gets to sort through all the mental clutter, clearing the cache, so to speak. It stores short-term memory and strengthens important neural pathways. Famous geniuses like Salvador Dali and Nikola Tesla were nap champions. They knew that rest isn't lazy. It's genius in disguise. So next time you feel tired midday, don't push through, lie down. Let your brain tidy up. Ever try to tickle yourself? Doesn't work, does it? That's because your brain predicts your own movements. The cerebellum sends a warning, hey, we're about to do this, and dulls the sensation. It's your brain's way of filtering out expected input, so it can focus on surprises like someone else poking your ribs unexpectedly. This prediction system helps with balance, movement, and coordination too. It's one of the reasons humans are so good at adapting to new environments. So, no, you're not broken. You just have a clever brain with an anti-tickle firewall. Crosswords, riddles, escape rooms, your brain loves puzzles. Why? Because solving them activates reward systems in the brain, releasing dopamine when you find the answer. It also triggers problem-solving networks in the prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's executive decision maker. It's like a mental gym session. Even when you fail a puzzle, your brain learns from the effort. It stores strategies, tests logic, and strengthens connections. That's why it feels so satisfying to figure something out. In short, puzzling is productive, and your genius brain wants more. Dreams are weird. You're riding a whale through your high school cafeteria while wearing socks made of spaghetti, and somehow it makes sense. Dreaming is your brain's way of processing emotion, memory, and ideas. The amygdala lights up, your motor cortex goes quiet, and your brain builds a surreal story to file away your daily thoughts. Some scientists think dreaming helps you rehearse scenarios, boost creativity, or solve problems, like a private mental rehearsal space. So next time you dream nonsense, smile. Your genius brain is probably writing a weird bedtime play. Even without a watch or phone, your brain has an inner clock. Actually, several. The suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus tracks the day-night cycle through light. That's your circadian rhythm. But your brain also tracks short-term intervals using memory, attention, and prediction. That's how you know when 5 minutes have passed during a song, or how long it takes to microwave pizza rolls. Your brain is always estimating, checking your body state, processing sensory cues, and building mental timelines. No gears, no ticking, just biology being low-key brilliant. Naps aren't just for toddlers and cats. They're science-approved brain fuel. Even a quick 20-minute nap can boost alertness, memory, and creativity. During a nap, your brain gets to sort through all the mental clutter, clearing the cache, so to speak. It stores short-term memory and strengthens important neural pathways. Famous geniuses like Salvador Dali and Nikola Tesla were nap champions. They knew that rest isn't lazy. It's genius in disguise. So next time you feel tired midday, don't push through. Lie down. Let your brain tidy up. Ever tried to tickle yourself? Doesn't work, does it? That's because your brain predicts your own movements. The cerebellum sends a warning, hey, we're about to do this, and dulls the sensation. It's your brain's way of filtering out expected input so it can focus on surprises, like someone else poking your ribs unexpectedly. This prediction system helps with balance, movement, and coordination too. It's one of the reasons humans are so good at adapting to new environments. So, no, you're not broken. You just have a clever brain with an anti-tickle firewall. Crosswords, riddles, escape rooms. Your brain loves puzzles. Why? because solving them activates reward systems in the brain, releasing dopamine when you find the answer. It also triggers problem-solving networks in the prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's executive decision maker. It's like a mental gym session. Even when you fail a puzzle, your brain learns from the effort. It stores strategies, tests logic, and strengthens connections. That's why it feels so satisfying to figure something out. In short, puzzling is productive, and your genius brain wants more. Dreams are weird. You're riding a whale through your high school cafeteria while wearing socks made of spaghetti, and somehow it makes sense. Dreaming is your brain's way of processing emotion, memory, and ideas. The amygdala lights up, your motor cortex goes quiet, and your brain builds a surreal story to file away your daily thoughts. Some scientists think dreaming helps you rehearse scenarios, boost creativity, or solve problems, like a private mental rehearsal space. So next time you dream nonsense, smile. Your genius brain is probably writing a weird bedtime play. Even without a watch or phone, your brain has an inner clock. Actually, several. The suprachiasmatic nucleus in your hypothalamus tracks the day-night cycle through light. That's your circadian rhythm. But your brain also tracks short-term intervals using memory, attention, and prediction. That's how you know when 5 minutes have passed during a song, or how long it takes to microwave pizza rolls. Your brain is always estimating, checking your body state, processing sensory cues, and building mental timelines. No gears, no ticking, just biology being low-key brilliant. You ever talk to yourself out loud? Don't worry, your brain thinks it's helping. This habit, called self-directed speech, improves focus, memory, and emotional regulation. When you say things out loud, "Where did I put my keys?" you're literally activating more of your brain's processing power, including auditory and language areas. Athletes use it. Students do it during tough tests. Even kids mumbling during play are organizing their thoughts out loud. Talking to yourself isn't weird. It's a productivity hack. Your brain loves it. You did never seem away uses off too. Still of two loves. Our brain isn't just a boss barking orders. It's in a 24/7 conversation with your body. A feedback loop that controls everything from temperature to mood. Feel tense? Your brain might trigger tight muscles, but those same muscles send a message back, "Hey, we're stressed," which reinforces anxiety. Even your gut is involved. It produces neurotransmitters like serotonin. That's why stress can upset your stomach, and a calm stomach can relax your mind. Your brain and body are BFFs who text all day. Be kind to one and the other listens. And confidence is feel in the right aroma, rind. You'll walk into a room, then forget why you're there. Classic. Blame the doorway effect. Your brain uses context to organize memory. When you walk into a new room, your brain subconsciously assumes the previous context is no longer relevant, so it clears the mental clipboard. It's not memory loss, it's memory management. Your brain just hit refresh too early, so if you forgot why you're in the kitchen, go back to where the thought was born. Sometimes that resets the context and brings it right back. You wouldn't expect to get strong by thinking about push-ups. Same goes for mental strength. Your brain needs reps. Reading, writing, practicing, learning new things, all of these create tiny changes in your brain's structure. Over time, those changes add up to neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself. Want to think faster? Focus better? Understand deeper? Train. Challenge yourself. Struggle a little. That's how growth happens. Brains aren't born genius. They're built. You gulp a cold drink. Suddenly, bam, pain shoots through your skull. That's phenopelating ganglioneuralgia, also known as brain freeze. It happens when something cold hits the roof of your mouth, triggering blood vessels to constrict and then rapidly dilate. This confuses nearby pain receptors which tell your brain, "We've got a crisis." The result? instant forehead lightning strike. It's not dangerous, just your brain being dramatic about temperature changes. Yes, you're electric. Your brain runs on about 20 watts, enough to power a dim light bulb. And it uses that energy to send billions of electrical signals every second. Every thought, every memory, every feeling, little sparks of electricity hopping between neurons at lightning speed. This electrical storm is so powerful, we can measure it with EEG machines, those squiggly brainwave charts you've seen in science shows. Even while asleep, your brain is still lit up like a low-power disco. So while you rest, your brain is buzzing. Your brain has a twin, sort of. Deep in your belly is the enteric nervous system, a massive network of neurons in your gut. This second brain can operate independently, controls digestion, and even produces about 90% of your body's serotonin, the mood chemical. It's why stress can cause stomach issues. Your gut literally feels emotions. That's also why gut health can impact your mood, memory, and even decision-making. Trust your gut? That's not just a saying, it's biology. Think you're good at multitasking? Hate to break it to you, your brain disagrees. When you try to do two thinking tasks at once, your brain doesn't split its attention. It switches back and forth rapidly, like a kid flipping TV channels. This constant switching burns energy, increases errors, and slows you down. It's called task switching cost, and it's very real. Want to be more efficient? Do one thing at a time. That's how your genius brain was designed to shine. New things excite your brain. Literally. Novelty triggers dopamine, the feel-good learning chemical. That's why you're drawn to new apps, new snacks, new shows. Your brain evolved to seek the unfamiliar, because new info might mean new opportunities or dangers. But here's the trick. Use that urge for good. Try learning a new word, cooking a new dish, or reading a weird fact before bed. You don't see the world exactly as it is. Your brain guesses and fills in missing info all the time. Your blind spot? Your brain patches it with nearby visuals. Misheard lyrics? Your brain autocorrects to something that makes sense. This feature helps with speed and survival, but it can also lead to funny mistakes. Like thinking your phone buzzed when it didn't, or hearing your name in a random noise. Your brain wants the world to make sense, even when it doesn't. That's kind of beautiful. Most people are right-handed, but did you know your brain has dominant sides too? The left hemisphere usually handles language, logic, and detail. The right hemisphere leans into creativity, emotion, and big picture thinking. But the truth is, they always work together. The whole left brain versus right brain thing? A myth. Still, one side might be slightly more active in certain tasks. So yes, your brain has a favorite side, but it's not picky. It's a team player. To-do lists, grocery lists, top 10 lists. Your brain eats them up. Why? Because lists offer structure and closure. They tell your brain, we have a plan, and your brain responds with a satisfied nod. Even sleep routines work better when listed. Your brain likes to know what's coming. That's why listicles are so addictive. So if you're overwhelmed, make a list. It's like mental feng shui. You remember your most embarrassing moment more than what you had for lunch last Tuesday. Why? Emotion supercharges memory. The amygdala tags emotional moments as important, sending a signal to your hippocampus, hey, save this. That's why emotional storytelling sticks, and why lessons tied to feelings are easier to recall. Even scary movies leave clearer mental imprints than boring lectures. So when learning, tie things to emotions. Make it funny, shocking, or meaningful. Your brain will thank you. You're not stuck. Your brain changes daily, even while you sleep. This is called neuroplasticity. It's how you can learn, recover from injuries, or adapt to new situations. It's like mental clay that never fully dries. Older adults can grow new neurons. Kids rewire after trauma. Musicians change brain maps just by practicing. Your brain's flexibility is part of your genius. So if you think you can't learn, just remember, your brain is still learning how to believe that. You can flip the script. Yawns aren't just boredom signals, they're built-in air conditioners. Yawning helps cool your brain by bringing in fresh air and increasing blood flow. A cooler brain is a sharper brain. Studies show people yawn more in warm rooms or when thinking hard. It's like your brain saying, magic tricks, optical illusions, plot twists. Your brain loves them. Why? Because they violate your expectations. The brain is constantly predicting what will happen next. When it's wrong, it gets curious. That surprise activates the anterior cingulate cortex, which says, wait, what just happened? That little jolt of confusion makes your brain pay attention and learn. That's why surprises are memorable. Being tricked is a weirdly useful part of your brain's genius. This isn't just for party tricks either. Scientists studying perception use illusions to understand how the brain constructs reality. Artists use surprise and contrast to keep you visually engaged. Even comedians rely on mental misdirection. Setup, punchline, boom. Your brain laughs because it got fooled, in a fun way. So the next time you're fooled, tricked, or even confused, take a second. That moment of, is your brain upgrading its understanding of the world? Ever get a song stuck in your head? That's your brain encoding rhythm and rhyme more easily than plain info. Music ties information to melody, emotion, and repetition, creating stronger memory traces. That's why we teach kids the alphabet with a song. That's also why you remember commercial jingles from 2008, but not your Wi-Fi password. Your hippocampus, which processes memory, lights up more when music is involved. And your amygdala helps link songs to emotional experiences, anchoring them even deeper. This is why Alzheimer's and dementia patients can sometimes sing songs from their youth, long after they forget names. Music digs in deeper, bypassing normal memory routes. So if you want to remember something, facts, formulas, affirmations, sing it. Add a beat. Tap your fingers. Dance a little. Your brain will find it easier to recall. Geniuses remember not just because they're smart, but because they use smart tools. Music is one of them. Dreams can be bizarre. Falling teeth, flying, being chased by a duck in a business suit. What does it mean? Your brain loves metaphors. It compresses complex emotions into visual symbols. That duck in a suit. Maybe anxiety about responsibility. Or maybe you just saw a goose yesterday. During REM sleep, your brain is very active, especially the emotional centers. But logic and self-awareness? Not so much. That's why dreams feel intense, but make no sense. It's also why artists, scientists, and inventors have drawn ideas from dreams. Mary Shelley dreamed Frankenstein. Paul McCartney dreamed Yesterday. Kekulé dreamed the structure of benzene as a snake eating its tail. Your brain uses dreams to explore, reflect, sort ideas, all in a cinematic format you don't control but still star in. You're not just dreaming, you're watching your subconscious improv theater. Unfinished puzzles, open tabs, unresolved stories, they haunt your brain. Not metaphorically, literally. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain holds on to incomplete tasks, like it's trying to finish a sentence. That's why cliffhangers make you watch the next episode. Or why you keep thinking about that email you forgot to reply to. The brain wants closure because open loops demand attention. It's like a mental itch. But once resolved, once something's done, the brain can file it away and relax. That's also why writing things down helps. It gives your mind permission to let go. You don't have to carry this. It's on paper now. So when your thoughts loop at night, remember, your brain is just looking for an off-ramp. Give it one. Boredom is uncomfortable, but it's one of your brain's best tools. When nothing external is stimulating you, your brain turns inward. This activates the default mode network, regions responsible for imagination, self-reflection, memory, and future planning. It's your brain's version of a screensaver, but way more productive. That's why your best ideas come in the shower, on long walks, or while staring at a ceiling fan. When you're not distracted, your brain connects distant dots, generating creativity, solving problems, or just making weird new connections. It's also how kids learn. Boredom forces them to invent games, stories, and imaginary friends. Genius grows in blank space. So don't fear boredom, embrace it. It's not the absence of genius, it's the birthplace of it. Ever yawn after seeing someone else yawn? Or feel second-hand embarrassment during a cringe movie scene? That's your mirror neurons at work. These specialized brain cells fire both when you do something and when you watch someone else do it. They're empathy's secret weapon, helping you understand others' feelings just by observing them. Mirror neurons live mainly in your premotor cortex and parietal lobes. And scientists believe they're a big reason we learn by imitation. Babies mimic facial expressions within days of being born, not because they understand emotions yet, but because their mirror neurons are already taking notes. These neurons are also involved in storytelling, performance, and emotional connection. When you're deeply moved by a scene or inspired by someone else's achievement, mirror neurons are turning their experience into... Most of your brain activity is subconscious. That means you're making decisions, feeling emotions, and solving problems long before your conscious mind catches up. You think you're in charge, but the limbic system, basal ganglia, and brainstem are doing 90% of the work in the background. Ever suddenly remember something you were trying to recall hours ago? That's your subconscious at work. It never stopped, it just took its time. Even creativity isn't always conscious. Writers, inventors, and mathematicians often report ideas just popping in. They weren't lazy. Their brain was working silently behind the scenes. So if you ever feel like nothing's happening, trust that it is. Just under the surface, your genius is brewing. Déjà vu, that eerie feeling you've lived a moment before, is one of the brain's weirdest tricks. It's not magic. It's your brain making a glitch in memory processing. One theory says your brain accidentally files a new experience in the already seen folder. Another says your two memory systems, short-term and long-term, get momentarily out of sync. It's like opening a brand new app and getting a restore previous session notification. Déjà vu often happens when you're tired, distracted, or in a familiar but new place. Your brain is trying to process too much and accidentally replay something it's never seen before. So when it happens, don't panic. Smile. You just caught your brain misfiring, which means it's still working pretty hard. Ever wonder how you can find your way through your house in the dark? Or navigate a mall by memory? That's your brain's internal GPS. It relies on place cells in the hippocampus and grid cells in the entorhinal cortex. Place cells fire when you're in a specific location. Grid cells form a kind of internal map, like a mental game board your brain tracks in real time. Animals have this too. That's how migratory birds, desert ants, and salmon find their way home. When you're lost in thought, but still walking in the right direction, your mental map is steering you. Even when you're asleep, it helps replay and reinforce spatial memory. Your brain is constantly mapping your world, not just where you've been, but where you want to go. Why do you crave chocolate, TikTok, or finishing a to-do list? Blame your brain's reward system, especially dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical, it's the motivation chemical. It spikes when your brain expects a reward, not just when you get one. This loop drives habits, addictions, learning, and even love. A text message ping, dopamine. Winning a game, dopamine. Checking something off a list, dopamine again. Your brain's reward system keeps you moving, achieving, and déjà vu. That eerie feeling you've lived a moment before is one of the brain's weirdest tricks. It's not magic. It's your brain making a glitch in memory processing. One theory says your brain accidentally files a new experience in the already seen folder. Another says your two memory systems, short-term and long-term, get momentarily out of sync. It's like opening a brand new app and getting a restore previous session notification. Déjà vu often happens when you're tired, distracted, or in a familiar but new place. Your brain is trying to process too much and accidentally replay something it's never seen before. So when it happens, don't panic. Smile. You just caught your brain misfiring, which means it's still working pretty hard. Ever wonder how you can find your way through your house in the dark? Or navigate a mall by memory? That's your brain's internal GPS. It relies on place cells in the hippocampus and grid cells in the entorhinal cortex. Place cells fire when you're in a specific location. Grid cells form a kind of internal map, like a mental game board your brain tracks in real time. Animals have this too. That's how migratory birds, desert ants, and salmon find their way home. When you're lost in thought, but still walking in the right direction, your mental map is steering you. Even when you're asleep, it helps replay and reinforce spatial memory. Your brain is constantly mapping your world, not just where you've been, but where you want to go. Why do you crave chocolate, TikTok, or finishing a to-do list? Blame your brain's reward system, especially dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical, it's the motivation chemical. It spikes when your brain expects a reward, not just when you get one. This loop drives habits, addictions, learning, and even love. A text message ping, dopamine. Winning a game, dopamine. Checking something off a list, dopamine again. Your brain's reward system keeps you moving, achieving, and repeating actions that bring you satisfaction, even if they're tiny. When used wisely, it helps build productive habits. When abused, it creates unhealthy loops. But in both cases, it's your brain trying to help you chase goals. Understanding your dopamine system helps you hack motivation and build a more genius version of yourself. Right now, there are 1,000 things happening around you. Sounds, smells, sensations, sights. But you're only noticing a tiny sliver. That's not failure, that's selective attention. Your brain uses a part of the reticular activating system, RAS, to filter what information gets into your conscious awareness. It's like a nightclub bouncer deciding who gets in and who gets ignored. That's why you can focus on a book while a TV is on, or suddenly notice your name mentioned across a noisy room. Your brain tracks everything, but only surfaces what it thinks is relevant, based on past experiences. So as your eyes drift and your breath slows, remember, your brain isn't just resting. It's recharging, rewiring, and quietly building the genius you'll wake up with tomorrow. Sleep well, genius.